I grew up with Liam Carter. We were childhood sweethearts. He took over his family's business while I went overseas to do research. We had promised to meet again in 3 years after we had both reached the top of our careers. When the maple leaves were falling, he handed me a glass of red wine to celebrate my return and my accomplishments. I looked down at the wine in the glass, then back up at him. The corners of my eyes felt hot and started to turn red. I drank the entire glass in one go. As I felt myself starting to lose consciousness, he carried me into another man's bedroom and gave me a serious, almost somber kiss on my forehead. Chloe Evans had made a mistake and accidentally angered the most powerful man in Harbor City, Daniel Reed. He had made it very clear that he would only let Chloe off the hook if I took her place. "I'm sorry," Liam said to me as he turned and walked away. Just then, I opened my eyes. My mind was stuck on a question I had read on a forum the night before. Between the person who waited 3 years for you and the person who spent those 3 years with you, who would you choose? "So tell me, Alice, what is it that you really want?" a deep voice asked. The sound came from a secret door in the room, and a man walked in. He was wearing a white shirt with a few buttons undone, and his sleeves were rolled up to his elbows. It was Daniel Reed, the Prince of Harbor City. We have the same parents, but we are only brother and sister in name. A year ago, my parents died in a sudden accident in Harbor City, and they had left me in the care of the Reed family. Daniel became my legal guardian, but nobody back in the Capitol knew about this, not even Liam. I managed to push myself up on the bed. My tears had dried, but my eyes were still red and puffy. My gaze felt empty, completely lacking any of its usual spark. Last night, Daniel had sent me a link to a post titled, "Who would you choose? The one who waited 3 years or the one who was with you for 3 years?" The story in the post felt incredibly, painfully familiar. After we finished college, Liam and I had made a pact to focus on our careers, to become successful in our own fields, and then get back together when we were both at the top. As soon as I joined the Research Institute abroad, I was almost completely cut off from the rest of the world. The project was top secret. My colleagues would often ask me, "You've had a boyfriend back in the capital for this long. Aren't you worried he'll move on if you never contact him?" They were genuinely curious. I would just smile, full of confidence, because I truly believed he wouldn't. I was sure that time and distance could never destroy the love he had for me. I had seen Liam at his most daring and passionate. I got in trouble more times than I can count for sneaking out after curfew, climbing over the wall just because I was craving a pastry from a shop in the Southern District. I had seen him show up in Harbor City with a huge bouquet of flowers just a day after being in the capital. He was full of life and a bit wild. He once broke his leg and got into fights just to stand up for me. The only time he was ever arrested was because someone had insulted me. He cornered the guy in an alley and beat him severely. That was the kind of boy who gave me the most intense and pure love. How could I ever believe he would fall out of love with me? But in that online post, even though everyone told the man in the story that he truly loved his long-distance girlfriend, his final response was, "I think maybe I'd choose the one who stayed with me for 3 years." That single sentence felt like a knife, slicing my heart into pieces. "Daniel, how am I supposed to get over this?" I asked, looking up at him with fresh tears welling in my eyes. "Is this the truth about Liam you wanted me to see? That he chose Chloe Evans, the woman who was by his side for 3 years, and gave up on me?" He sighed and walked closer to the bed. He leaned in and gently wiped away the tears that were about to fall. But no matter how gentle he was, my heart wouldn't stop hurting. For 3 years, while Liam was laughing and spending time with Chloe, my journals were filled with nothing but my love for him. I dreamed of our reunion. I hoped that as soon as the project was over, I could run straight back into his arms. But reality was telling me that somewhere along the way, Liam had stopped walking toward me. He had bent down and picked a different flower, one he decided he liked more. Daniel, my heart hurt so much. The moment I smelled the drug in the wine, I wanted so badly to ask Liam when, exactly, he had stopped loving me. But I couldn't make myself say the words. A sour ache was lodged in my throat, choking me. I was afraid I would lose control and just break down crying. I was afraid I would become a joke to everyone in the Capitol. I sniffled and asked him, my voice trembling. If I hadn't gone abroad back then, if I hadn't joined the research team, would things have turned out differently? Daniel cut me off, his tone becoming firm and serious. He cupped my face in his warm hands, his touch steady and reassuring. You can love Liam, he said, but you can't give up on yourself for him. You told me yourself that you didn't want to be the kind of woman who needs a man to feel complete. You have the ability to become the best version of yourself, so don't let a man who can't even control his own heart make you doubt who you are. You never made the wrong choice. Liam did. He's the one who broke your promise. Every word Daniel said landed on my chest with the weight of 1,000 pounds. I understood what he was saying, I really did, but I still couldn't let it go. Daniel stayed with me the entire night. He sat in a chair by the floor-to-ceiling windows, drinking with me and listening as I poured out all the bitterness that had been bottled up inside me. He was 5 years older than me, and he was a truly reliable older brother figure. When I woke up the next morning, my head was pounding. I sat up in bed, trying to remember everything that happened the night before. Just as I was about to get out of bed, Daniel happened to open the door. "You're not going to sleep a little longer?" he asked. I shook my head without saying anything. He walked over, picked up my slippers, and knelt down. His warm, slightly rough palm wrapped around my ankle. I froze for a second, surprised by the unexpected closeness. When I instinctively tried to pull my foot back, he held on a little tighter and looked up at me. "I'm your brother," he said. I mumbled a half-hearted agreement. Then Daniel added, "Liam has been waiting downstairs for a while. He wants to see you." His eyes stayed on me as he spoke. I bit my lip without thinking and clenched my fists. I pushed the ache in my chest down and forced a smile. "Right now, I'm your little pet, right?" Daniel raised an eyebrow and gave a small, helpless laugh. "Fine, then how about this? My little pet is invited to a pool party tonight. Are you interested?" "I am," I replied with a smile. During my 3 years at the Research Institute, I had almost no freedom. Now that I could finally breathe, all I wanted was to relax and reset myself, to get ready to dive back into my career. The party wasn't huge, but everyone there was important. There were heirs from prominent families and executives from high society. Since my parents passed away, the Miller family business had been entrusted to my uncle. It hadn't fallen apart, but it wasn't what it used to be. I sat quietly in a corner, waiting for Daniel, when Liam approached me. His secretary, Chloe Evans, was following right behind him. She was the one who had been with him for those 3 years. This was the first time I had seen her in person. She wasn't stunning by high society standards, but she had a kind of quiet beauty. She had a great figure, which she showed off in a backless dress. "I waited downstairs at the hotel for a long time last night," Liam said. "You were drunk and I couldn't find you. Are you okay?" His voice was a little strained. I looked up and met his searching eyes. My body reacted before my mind could stop it. My nose started to sting and my chest tightened. But I lifted my chin and cut through his weak lie with just a few words. "Liam, I think you forgot. I'm a chemist, and a pretty good one. And I have a pharmaceutical license, remember?" His expression faltered. Panic flashed in his eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. "So you remember what happened last night?" he said quietly. "I admit I was wrong. I did you wrong, but I didn't have a choice." He lowered his head. "Chloe unintentionally offended the Reed family recently. Last night, Daniel specifically asked for you. The Carter family still has influence in the capital. Daniel wouldn't dare to be too reckless." His fists were clenched at his sides, and his expression was a mix of conflict and a strange certainty, as if he wasn't sure if he was trying to comfort me or himself. "And what about my reputation?" I asked. I held back my emotions and asked quietly, "What if it hadn't been Daniel last night? What if it had been someone else? What would have happened to my reputation then?" Chloe Evans, who had been silent this whole time, suddenly looked like she was about to cry. Her eyes were red, as if she was struggling to hold back tears. A mocking smile played on my lips. I was the one who got hurt. I was the one betrayed by the person I loved. So what exactly did Chloe feel so wronged about? "Miss Evans," she said, her voice low, "this is my fault. I didn't expect Liam would try to protect me by. She trailed off, her voice choking. Of course it's your fault, I said, my tone even. Liam's expression didn't change. Clearly, he hadn't expected me to blame her so directly. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. Liam only. Chloe suddenly bowed deeply as she apologized, her words subtly implying more. She kept calling him Liam, as if it were a sweet, familiar habit. Liam didn't say anything, but his brows furrowed tightly. A flicker of unease flashed in his eyes. When I didn't respond right away, he grabbed Chloe's arm and turned to me. Alice, this has nothing to do with Chloe. I made the decision. So if you're angry, yell at me, hit me, do whatever you want. Just don't make things difficult for her. He stepped in front of her, shielding her from me protectively. He looked at me like I was a threat. I lifted my head and looked at Liam, really looked at him for the first time since I had come back. He hadn't changed much, still handsome, but there was a seriousness about him that wasn't there before, and less love in his eyes. What a shame. The boy who once threw himself into fights to protect me had become someone else's hero. The promises we made when we were young were, in the end, too fragile to last. After a long silence, I finally spoke, my voice soft but firm. Liam, let's break up. He looked stunned. Alice, do you even know what you're saying? If the love is gone, then we should let each other go, I said with a light, pretend calm smile. We should break up with dignity, not turn this into a scandal that everyone talks about. After graduation, Liam had planned a huge confession of his love for me. He bought every camellia painting in the city and set off fireworks all night long, just for me. He said his little princess deserved the best the world had to offer. Even though we had known each other since we were kids, our relationship didn't start on a whim. It was mutual and deliberate. We both worked hard at it. For 3 years, people envied us. We were the talk of the capital, a perfect love story. But now, Liam's voice suddenly hardened. I don't agree to this breakup. Behind him, Chloe wobbled, her tears finally falling. Still, she stayed quiet, looking like a delicate flower enduring a storm. Before I could say anything, she spoke, her voice trembling. Then what am I? Yes, exactly. If we weren't breaking up, what was Chloe to him, and what was I? He had already hurt me for someone else, so why was he still pretending to be deeply in love and full of regret? Liam, I said coldly, since you chose Chloe, then I'll step aside. Chloe looked devastated, her expression a mix of pain and resolve as she turned and ran off, her face buried in her hands. Chloe! Liam instinctively took a step to chase after her, but then he seemed to remember I was still standing there. He stopped, his face torn. We'll talk later, he said. Alice, I owe Chloe too much. I'm sorry. Owe her for what? For staying by his side for 3 years. But hadn't I waited for 3 years too? I gave a bitter smile, and when I looked up again, the two of them were gone. Brother, the show's over. You can come out now? I picked up a glass of juice from the table and took a sip. It tasted sour and sharp. Daniel, dressed in his usual loose white shirt, walked toward me with one hand in his pocket. His steps were steady and unhurried. Every woman we passed gasped as he went by. He rarely came to the capital, but his reputation as a ruthless and sharp businessman had arrived long before him. He was 30 this year, yet there was never a woman by his side. Daniel gave a cold laugh. Liam seems to be going backward. I didn't respond. I only said, people change. Chloe isn't someone to underestimate, he said. She might not love Liam, but she definitely loves his money. I didn't argue. He wasn't wrong. When Chloe ran off earlier, she had glanced at me from the corner of her eye. There was calculation in her look and a mocking smile on her lips. I figured that by tomorrow, the news of her and Liam being together would be public. My return had become an ironic twist in their love story. I'm going back to Harbor City next week, Daniel said, his gaze falling on me. The hand holding my glass froze. Is there anything left in the capital for you? He asked, already knowing the answer. There's nothing, I said. My parents are gone. Liam doesn't love me anymore. This city, it's no longer my home. It didn't surprise me, but what did was how fast Liam acted. That very night, he made his relationship with Chloe official. His latest social media post read, "After hardship comes peace, and after clouds, the moon shines bright." Thank you. The picture showed him holding hands with Chloe. Our social circles overlapped, so some people, mistaking her for me, commented things like, "Finally, 3 years. When's the wedding? Can't wait." But Liam quickly realized the confusion. He deleted the post and re-uploaded it, this time with Chloe's name clearly mentioned and more affectionate couple photos. That's just how he is. When he loves someone, he gives them everything. He wants the world to know. He was in love with Chloe Evans, and I, Alice Miller, was just a reckless part of his youth. He messaged me privately, "Alice, these past 3 years, Chloe has been by my side, taking care of me. She's become the most important part of my life. I'm sorry. Let's move on." My hand trembled. I tried to tell myself that he had already let go, that he had forgotten me, but I couldn't convince myself. My eyes burned, and big, heavy tears splashed onto my phone screen. 25 years of feelings just drained away. I took a deep breath and forced a smile at my messy reflection. I typed, "Okay." But when I hit send, all I got was a red exclamation mark. He had blocked me. That tiny symbol shattered every last bit of my strength. I thought I wouldn't hurt anymore, but my heart still clenched. I couldn't hold it in. I broke down and cried, loud, gut-wrenching sobs filling the silent room. I didn't stop until Daniel knocked on my door. He stood outside in the dark hallway, his shadow long in the light from my room. "When you're done crying, just forget him," he said. "Liam's not worth it." I sniffled and messily wiped my tears away. Daniel walked into the room, his deep eyes reflecting something I couldn't quite read. He was holding a cup of warm milk. "You really liked Liam that much?" he asked mockingly. "Was he really that good? Good enough to make you cry over and over?" He walked closer, set the milk down, and added, "He's just Liam. He doesn't deserve you." I bit my lip and looked up, meeting Daniel's gaze. A second later, he planted both hands on the table, boxing me in. "Alice, I know your feelings for Liam aren't something you can just shut off overnight. Maybe you never will, but stop crying over him." My emotions were still raw. I didn't want to deal with him right now. "Maybe," he said softly, "you could try turning around and see something new." Before I could process what he meant, Daniel's face loomed closer. My eyes widened, my breath caught, and my heart twisted with confusion. I opened my mouth to speak, but he raised a hand and gently wiped the tears from my eyes. His voice dropped, low and steady. "Alice, I knew you liked Liam, and I knew he liked you. That's why I never had a chance. But now, I want to give myself one. You don't have to answer right now," he added. "I can wait." I was still in a daze. When I finally spoke, my voice was a whisper. "Daniel, I like you." He didn't hesitate. "I've liked you for a long time. From the moment I first saw you, from the first time you called me brother." That first meeting had been so long ago. I was 16, at his birthday party. We had ended up playing a piano duet together. I pressed my lips into a tight line and fell silent. Daniel didn't push. He just gave a quiet, knowing smile and patted my head gently. "Alice, I can wait." His confession exploded in my mind. His words replayed over and over. I had always seen Daniel as a brother. I never once thought of him romantically. I had planned to talk to him about it after we got back to Harbor City, but before I could, the gossip exploded online. The rumors about me and Daniel spread like wildfire. "Heiress of the Miller family willingly becomes the prince's mistress." That headline climbed to the top of the trending list. There were photos of us together and even leaked nude photos that were supposedly of me. The media started digging into my background. It was my first time in the public eye since coming back to China, and it was a disaster. Daniel's mistress, Liam's first love, one label after another. The comment section was brutal. "Wait, wasn't Alice with Liam before? She cheated with Daniel." No wonder Liam went public with another woman. Turns out Alice cheated first. She disappeared for 3 years, said she was studying. Looks like Daniel kept her overseas as his little secret. Public opinion spiraled out of control. My family came to me multiple times trying to get answers. I just told them I would handle it. They didn't press me, but they also didn't defend me. The scandal grew, and eventually, Liam called. The number was unfamiliar, but I still answered. "Alice, are you okay?" His familiar voice asked. I thought I'd lose control again, but surprisingly, my heart was calm. Maybe letting go really could happen in an instant. "Thanks for your concern," I replied politely. There was silence on the other end, just his heavy breathing. After a long pause, he said, "This whole thing, it's my fault. I'll handle the rumors." "Liam," I interrupted calmly, "only 4 people, including me, knew what happened between Daniel and me." His tone shot up. "You think I leaked it?" He sounded shocked. I said nothing. He laughed bitterly. "Alice, we've known each other for over 10 years. You really think I'd do that?" "I used to believe you, Liam. I truly did." I hung up and immediately blocked the number. We had grown up together. Even if he had chosen Chloe, the bond we shared wasn't fake. He wouldn't go this far. As for Daniel, this was our plan from the beginning. We both knew the truth. But there was one person who didn't. Liam used another number to text me. "Alice, I'll find out who did this. But the fact that you suspect me really breaks my heart." I let out a bitter laugh. Did he ever consider my feelings when he did what he did? When Daniel returned to the villa that night, he was unusually flustered. He rushed in, his breathing uneven. I had just finished a project report. I had no idea public opinion had turned so completely. I looked up and Daniel's long arms swept me into a tight hug, so tight I could barely breathe. "Let me hold you, just for a bit," he murmured. His assistant, who had followed him in, awkwardly turned away to give us privacy. After a few long seconds, Daniel loosened his grip. "I've been in meetings all day," he said, his voice still shaky. "I saw what happened online. I'm having people handle it. I'm sorry, Alice." His voice trembled with guilt. I blinked at him, confused, then asked sweetly, "Daniel, what are you so afraid of?" He pressed his lips together, struggling for an answer. The assistant cleared his throat. "It's my fault," he said. "I mentioned a story about a girl who got cyberbullied so badly she fell into a depression and took her own life." The moment Daniel heard that, he rushed straight back from the company. Daniel's expression was stiff. I studied him carefully. I used to think he worried about me because of my parents, that it was just a brother's protectiveness. After he confessed, I thought our relationship would become strained, but nothing had changed. Was he really afraid I'd take my own life over online rumors? I moved closer and looked up at him. "I believe you," I said. "I know you wouldn't do anything to hurt me. But I don't want to be sad because of this either. So you'd better protect me well, big brother." I gave him a small smile. Daniel blinked, then smiled back and patted my head. As for the photo scandal, I posted a picture on my social media from a university event. Anyone who knew me knew I had a butterfly-shaped birthmark on my shoulder blade. On the day of the interview, I wore an off-shoulder dress, and the journalist had captured a photo of my back. That photo had been public for years. The nude photo that was leaked wasn't me. Debunking the rumor was easy. What I didn't expect was for Daniel to make a public statement under the Reed Group's official account. "Alice Miller has been the girl I've secretly loved for a long time." That sentence caused a media explosion. The cold-blooded prince of Harbor City declaring his devoted love sent everyone into a frenzy. Overnight, public opinion flipped. The real culprit was quickly exposed. Chloe. She had feared I'd steal Liam back, so she tried to destroy my reputation. She paid off paparazzi, hired a body double, and orchestrated the leak. It was such a cheap move, and yet Liam had still chosen to stand by her, even offering me 13% of the Carter Corporation's shares to protect her. I refused. I sued her directly. What I didn't expect was for Chloe to come find me herself. "Just say it," I said coolly. "What do you want?" Chloe clutched the hem of her shirt, her eyes burning with resentment. "Why won't you leave me alone? Why do you have to destroy me?" The cafe was silent. I looked directly at her. It had only been a few days, but even her heavy makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. And you? I asked calmly. There's nothing between us, but you made me the target of all this. Am I not allowed to defend myself? Because Liam has always loved you, she blurted out. I froze. Chloe let out a bitter laugh. He might be able to lie to himself, but he can't lie to me. He doesn't love me, Alice. I stayed by his side for 3 years. I was there through everything. When he was sick, I took care of him. When he was drunk, I brought him soup. I was always the first one there. But he doesn't love me. Her voice grew louder, more desperate. What gives him the right not to love me? So why did you come back? She snapped, her laugh hollow. You ruined everything I built, everything I worked for. Just by showing up, you turned all my efforts into nothing. A mocking smile curled my lips. You're upset, and I'm not supposed to be? Liam and I had known each other for 22 years. We were family, friends, lovers. And yet, knowing we were together, you still chose to interfere. So, what right do you have to complain about being the victim? I set my coffee down, reached into my bag, and pulled out a file, sliding it across the table. Chloe's expression soured. Just because I'm gentle, I said clearly, doesn't mean I'm a pushover. She opened the file and her eyes widened in disbelief. Ever since the pool party, I've had my suspicions, so I had someone look into your background. Everything she presented to the public was fake. Liam had never done a proper background check. Chloe's real name was Sarah Jones. She'd been married at 16, then faked her own death to escape from the mountains. She was a woman who clawed her way up from nothing, desperate to climb higher. There's nothing wrong with that or even with using others to get ahead. But her mistake was pretending she had power she didn't possess. You're talented, I said, but you used your cleverness in all the wrong ways. With that, I picked up my bag and left the cafe, leaving her frozen in her seat. At the villa, on the outskirts of town, I was rolling my suitcase out the gate on my way to the airport when Liam jumped out of his car and rushed over. He reached out to stop me, his eyes fixed on my luggage. Where are you going? I smiled politely. I don't think that's any of your business, Mr. Carter. He looked shocked. You called me Mr. Carter? Alice, we're childhood sweethearts. Since when do you call me that? His expression was filled with disbelief. I found it laughable. He had blocked me first. He was the one who said to move on, and yet now he acted like none of that had happened. What do you want from me? I asked, keeping my tone even. Liam's face darkened. Why didn't you ever tell me you knew Daniel, and you never said you had family here these past 3 years either? His face was pale. I took a deep breath. Liam, I said firmly, whatever is between Daniel and me has nothing to do with you anymore. You came here because of Chloe, didn't you? His brow furrowed. I had hit the mark. The Carter family is influential. If you wanted to protect Chloe, it would have been easy. But I have the Miller family behind me, and Daniel. So you expect me to just let this go? Forgive and forget? I narrowed my eyes. Liam, have you forgotten? I never owed you anything, and I especially don't owe Chloe anything. If she's bold enough to come after me, she'd better be prepared for the consequences. As the last word left my lips, I didn't care about his expression. I rolled my suitcase past him. He instinctively grabbed my arm. You're going to Harbor City with Daniel? His tone was resolute, but his eyes betrayed a deep regret, maybe even fear. Your home is here in the capital, he said. I just smiled. But there's no one here I want to stay for anymore. I got into the car. Through the window, I saw Liam still standing there, frozen, as if the weight of my words had just hit him. His eyes were empty. I had no idea what he was thinking until the car's engine started. That's when he snapped out of his daze. He scrambled into his own car and slammed on the gas, chasing after us. Even he didn't know why. All he knew was that if he didn't go after me now, this might be the end, and he couldn't bear that. The thought that I might never belong to him again tore him apart. After we graduated, we thought we had forever. But it only took 3 years of separation for everything to change. In those 3 years, he missed me terribly. He dreamed about me, thought about me when he was drunk. He counted down the days until my return. He worked nonstop like a machine because the moment he paused, loneliness would swallow him whole. Until he met Chloe. There was something about her that reminded him of me. Her determination, the way she never backed down. He started finding little pieces of me in her, and that's why he kept her close, gave her special treatment. He saw the way she looked at him, the way her respect turned into love. He knew it, but he didn't dare return it because he still loved me. A week before I came back, he posted that question online. He was lost. Did he love Chloe or me? He thought he had figured it out. He chose Chloe, but then everything went wrong. The night he made it official with her, he didn't want to post anything, but she pushed him. "When you were with Alice, the whole world knew," she'd said. "Why does it have to be a secret with me?" He had chosen her, so he posted it. But when the comments came pouring in, congratulating him for being with me, it stirred something in him. It hurt. He deleted the post and, at Chloe's urging, reposted it with their pictures. She even sent it to me from her own account and then blocked me. He told himself it was for the best. But he couldn't sleep. When the scandal about me exploded, his heart nearly stopped. He knew I wasn't that kind of person. The thought of me being insulted was unbearable. When I told him I suspected him, he felt a kind of despair. He pulled every string he had to find out who was behind it. When he discovered it was Chloe, he locked himself in his office all afternoon. He realized then he'd been devastatingly wrong. Regret consumed him. He wanted to find me, but Chloe got to him first, begging him to save her. He saw then how different she was from me. They weren't the same at all. But he caved, telling himself it would be the last time. He finally understood that he had never stopped loving me. He thought if he just apologized, I'd come back. Liam chased after my car, desperate. He cut me off and got out. "It's not about Chloe," he blurted out. He reached for my hand, but I stepped away. "Please don't go," he begged, his voice shaking. "Can't we just talk?" I was losing patience. "What do you want, Liam?" He hesitated, then forced a bitter smile. "What if I said I just realized it's always been you? That I've only ever loved you? Would that change anything?" "No," I cut him off, my voice calm and firm. The pretense dropped from his face. His eyes turned red. "Alice, I was wrong," he said, his voice cracking. "I don't love Chloe. I only ever saw her as a reflection of you. I didn't see my own heart clearly." I looked at him calmly. If this had been the old me, seeing him like this would have torn me apart. But now there was nothing. Not far away, I saw Daniel striding toward us. As I moved to walk past Liam, he grabbed my arm. "Alice," he said, panicked. I stared coldly at him. "Liam, you're an adult. You should know what's appropriate." "I don't know," he said, his eyes wild. "I just know I can't let you leave with Daniel." Daniel reached us, his gaze sharp as a blade. "Alice isn't going with you," Liam said. "When I gave her to you back then, that was my mistake. Now I'm going to fix it." Daniel let out a low, mocking laugh. "Your mistake was falling for her in the first place." "Daniel!" Liam snapped, his fists clenched. "You can have anything you want, anything except Alice." Daniel didn't reply. He simply looked at me, then, without warning, swung a fist and punched Liam hard across the face. Caught off guard, Liam stumbled back, his fury ignited. The two of them started throwing punches right there in the airport lobby. I stepped back and waved over the nearby security officers. They rushed in and pulled the two men apart. It was obvious Liam got the worst of it. His face was bleeding. In the VIP lounge, Daniel sat beside me, his large hand wrapped tightly around mine. Liam sat across from us, his eyes locked on our joined hands. "Alice," he said through gritted teeth, "do you really believe Daniel could love you? Do you know what kind of person he is?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Liam, that drug in the wine..." I gave it to Daniel. His expression froze. He stared at me in shock. "The night before I came back," I continued, "I saw the post you shared. The one who waited 3 years and the one who stayed for 3 years." I pulled my diary from my bag and placed it on the table. This is filled with everything I wrote about you. 3 years of love, 3 years of waiting. I didn't look away. Yes, I set up a trap with Daniel that night. It was manipulative, maybe even cruel, but it worked. When I found out you chose Chloe, I questioned myself. I thought maybe if I hadn't gone abroad, things would be different. But no, if it hadn't been Chloe, it would have been someone else. So, Liam, there's no going back. No, Alice. He tried to explain, but the words caught in his throat. I just didn't see clearly, he whispered, defeated. I gave him a faint smile. The Liam I used to know never had trouble seeing clearly. He used to protect me from everything. But now he had learned how to weigh his options, how to choose the safest path. He could have fought Daniel for me, but he didn't dare. Sacrificing me was the easiest choice. Daniel and I still boarded the plane to Harbor City. As we left, I caught a final glimpse of Liam, holding my diary, crying like a child. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. Goodbye, Liam. After I left, Liam sat in that lounge for hours, flipping through my diary. The memories, the love I had documented, they became a net that tore his heart to shreds. While he had drifted away, my love for him had only grown stronger. He read entries about how I missed him, how my coworkers teased me about him, how I told them I'd bring them cake from our wedding. He read about the time an experiment failed, and just looking at his picture made me feel better. He even read about my suspicion when my advisor returned from China and said Liam was doing well, but with an odd tone. That was the day his affair had truly started. My advisor had seen him with Chloe, had seen the lipstick on his collar, and had warned him not to hurt me. Liam hadn't listened. Carefully, he closed the diary. Back at the office, he was prepared to end things with Chloe until he got the news. I had withdrawn the lawsuit. I had let it go. When he found Chloe, she was hollow, a puppet with its strings cut. I'll give you money, he said. Leave the capital. She gave a broken smile. Liam, I regret it, she whispered. I regret coming into your life, falling in love with you, hurting Alice. This was never how it was supposed to be. She sobbed, and he stood frozen, watching her unravel. He wanted to comfort her, but he couldn't. He realized he was the one who had let it all happen. But he never expected what came next. Chloe took her own life. 5 years passed before Liam saw me again. By then, I was a leading figure in my field. A photo of me in a white lab coat had gone viral. I was everyone's ideal, elegant, dedicated, brilliant. In those 5 years, after Daniel and I went to Harbor City, we only stayed for a month before I returned to the Research Institute for another 4 years. Liam visited the country once, but the only person he saw near the institute was Daniel. What are you doing here? Liam had asked, shocked. Classified research, Daniel said with a smirk. You won't get to see her. You came all this way knowing that? Daniel smiled. I can't see her, sure, but I miss her. Being closer, even if she doesn't know, makes me feel better. Maybe she'll feel it too. I've stood here so many times, he added. Strange that I've never seen you before. In that moment, Liam froze. He realized that I had kept my promise, but he had never once even tried to enter my world. On the day of my wedding to Daniel, Liam was diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer. The doctor said he might live for a few more months. After our breakup, he had drowned himself in alcohol, and his body had been deteriorating ever since. Still, he went to the wedding. He stood at the back of the crowd, watching as Daniel, Harbor City's prince, gave me the ring. He kissed me, and my face glowed with a radiant, peaceful happiness. That smile was supposed to be his. Daniel had given me everything, and he had remained spotless all these years, no scandals, no other women. Compared to that, Liam's love was nothing worth showing anymore.